It has been an awful long time since we have seen this amount of negativity surrounding a Nintendo announcement, and honestly, I can't even draw a comparison. Okay, like there's been some disappointment before, there's been some head-scratching decisions, but this is Switch 2 reveal. I mean, like outside of people just simply coping, I don't think anybody's really defending a bunch of the decisions on this one, specifically the pricing of the console, but more specifically pointing to the pricing of the games, which is just, it doesn't make any sense, man, especially for what Nintendo does and how they are trying to be the canary in the coal mine to see if they can go ahead and charge more for lesser products, which, yeah, we talked about this back in the review of the reveal, where it's like, okay, you can say that Mario Kart World is going to be worth $90 physically. Okay, maybe there's going to be enough content that's in there that's totally fine, which I wouldn't imagine. You know, it's not like Nintendo has ever released DLC for a Mario Kart game before, right? And it's not like all of their DLC holds its value over time. It's not like you can't buy another, character pack for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that's still $30, right? That released 5 years ago. It's not like they do that all the time, but yeah, for as many games as that release that are worthy of that elevated price point, or at least are justifiable of that price point, okay? Because the product is only worth as much as the people are willing to shell out for it. But there's so many people saying, hold the line on this one. Just because Nintendo puts out great games that have just realistically been the same game done over and over and over again for like 3 decades at this point in time, let's keep it a buck. As somebody who grew up on all of these, 2D Mario side-scrollers, okay, has a deep love of the Donkey Kong Country games, and even, somewhat of a soft spot, but I really got to go back and play, more Donkey Kong 64. It's like, you guys aren't really doing all that much new, if we're going to be completely honest. Like a lot of your 3D mechanics for your Super Mario 3D games, it's really just iterating off of 64 and Sunshine. And for all the people criticizing a lack of creativity in the industry, how many people do you know that still continue to cry out, oh, we need Super Mario Galaxy 3, I want Wind Waker 2, or we need a capstone to that trilogy of open worlds Legend of Zelda games. It's like Nintendo as a company just puts a mask, or just corrupts the thoughts of people that are otherwise critical of entertainment and the lack of creativity and just the requels, sequels, prequels, midquels, all of those different iterative pieces of content. But when it comes to Nintendo, all of that criticism just goes by the wayside, and they just have the mind of children for something that is just so important to their childhood. But no, this is the first thing that I have seen in a very long time. The only other time that I've seen this level of vitriol was probably when Nintendo very ill-advisedly tried to uproot the entire Let's Play genre on YouTube back in like 2015 or something like that. Like even when the Wii U was announced, which I also drew parallels to, because that very much, that Nintendo Direct from last week, oh yeah, it very much evoked Wii U sensibilities in me, like focusing on, the specs. Oh, up to 720p, up to 144, FPS, okay. 4K up to 60. None of those games are going to get even close to any of those specs, by the way. Oh, but Nintendo's never been known for pushing the boundaries on hardware. They tried to do it with the Wii U, they tried to do it with the GameCube, and now they're trying to do it again with the Switch 2. They didn't quite push well, I guess they were kind of doing that with the N64, but that very much wasn't the selling point, because they could just show you the obvious generational leap that you were getting from the Super Nintendo to the N64. But this time around, it's like, oh yeah, here, buy the new console, because it's so much better, because you can just see the difference. Like, take a look at Tears of the Kingdom on Switch, and here's the picture on Switch 2, and corporate is saying that both of those are the same picture. It was so underwhelming, right? Like, I watched it and I thought it was fine. I thought the conference was a 6. I thought it was better than most first-party announcement streams that we've seen, but nowhere near as good as some of those all-timer streams. Yeah, they had a bunch of games that were out there that they announced. A new Kirby Air Riders. It's like, okay, cool. So you're building sequels on games that didn't sell on some of your poorest performing consoles. Good decision making that you have right there. And then announcing, yeah, we're going to have all of this third-party support for a bunch of games that came out in the past 5-10 years. Okay, cool. Really pushing the envelope. And oh yeah, we're going to have a big PPE PvP from soft game. Okay, cool. All of the stuff that they can't do properly or competently, that is the big criticism from that player base. Yeah, we're just going to do that on a console that is going to have some of the most atrocious, and has for the past decade, online capabilities. That's a good call. It's a good decision that you're making right there. And then also paywalling a button on your console. Like, bro, this has been atrocious. So yeah, in response to that, Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders have been delayed. Because at this point in time, I think then, yeah, right, April 9th. April 9th, you were supposed to be able to pre-order all of this stuff for an exorbitant amount of money. If you wanted to drop $650 on the base console, or $700, yeah, $700, I'm talking Canadian on that one, $700 for the bundle with Mario Kart World in it, well, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Apparently, not because of the blowback from the community. No, because Orange bans tariffs, tariffs are completely and totally retarded, by the way. And this is coming from a big Trump guy, by the way. Taxing your own people because you're trying to do international world building. Not exactly working out that well for you. But it's also funny how many phonies he's also exposed by putting those tariffs in place, and how everybody's just going Orange Man bad by justifying taxing their own people. Oh God, I got to do a video on the stupid Canadian election, because oh boy, am I incredibly... If I'm underwhelmed by Nintendo, I am quadruply so underwhelmed by the ruling class in Canada. Anyways, on the Nintendo Switch 2 has hit its first speed bump ahead of launch, not in the production or development, but in pre-order timing. Originally set to begin on April 9th, Nintendo has delayed Switch 2 pre-orders in the US due to evolving trade conditions, specifically to evaluate the impact of newly announced tariffs introduced by President Donald Trump, which, if we're just going to keep it a buck, this is totally a smokescreen. Okay, they're just using this as justification to try to figure out, oh God, okay, so what can we do on this one? Okay, so there's a reason that because if you watch the entire conference, okay, you go back and you watch the hour-long presentation, you're going to notice a couple of things are very obviously missing. Any pricing for the games or for the console itself. They'll go ahead and tell you, coming out June 6th, you can go ahead and get your hands on the Switch 2, and here's a bunch of release dates for the other games, or here are the ones that are going to be launch day titles. Mario Kart World is going to be a launch day title for the Switch. I think Donkey Kong 64 2 is coming out towards the end of the year, but I digress. In a statement, provided to The Verge, Nintendo spokesperson Eddie Garcia explained pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 in the US will not start April 9th, 2025 in order to assess the potential impacts or tariffs and evolving market conditions. Nintendo will update timing at a later date, which, importantly, the official launch date of June 5th, 2025 remains unchanged, and the company reaffirmed its commitment to that schedule. So I find that very interesting. Mostly, of the way that Nintendo is going to handle this. Are they going to come back with a much more reasonable price point? Are they going to knock another $50, $100 off of this? Are they going to have proper pricing for their games? Because for as much criticism as Nintendo has received for the pricing of its games, I mean, the fact that even if you buy a physical copy, which are apparently more expensive, according to the European pricing, but we haven't really seen much from the rest of the world, but that's where we've seen it before, where the physical copies are going to cost more than the digital copies, but you still have to download most of the game from the internet, because you're not getting all of it on your physical copy to begin with, so what's the fucking point? There's so many problems with this system, okay? That, and you only have 256 gigabytes on the console, and if you have to download all of your games to begin with, I guess you're just, trying to sell more memory cards? Like this is 1996 again? Fucking Nintendo, man. But you're thinking, it's like, okay, you probably heard about the tariffs on China, tariffs on Canada, Mexico, even though I think that those are currently in discussion right now. It's impossible to really track all of this stuff in a timely manner because it's an ever-evolving situation, which, if you wanted to take Nintendo at face value saying that we're just evaluating how things are going to work out, I thought there was a 10% tariff on Japan, but you would also think, okay, cool, you could release them out of Nintendo of America. Couldn't you find a workaround on that one? Or you could do that for games, but if your consoles are being made in China and Taiwan, and those have much stronger tariffs on them, and you didn't want to have that affect the Western audiences, then you could work on pricing from there. but it'll just be interesting to see. The delay in pre-orders follows President Trump's announcement for a new wave of tariffs intended to bolster American manufacturing and ensure fair trade practices. Yeah, exactly, because according to stupid Tommy, all men are trash Laren, you don't need to have luxury products. God damn it, man. Right-wing influencers are fucking stupid. We're going to be talking about one of those trad thoughts here over the weekend because, oh boy, I'm so glad to be vindicated in my position that I thought that she's always been a psycho, but really drove that home here recently. But more on that in the near future. I've already talked about my disdain for Tommy Laren, and every time that I see her, it just reaffirms the fact that, yeah, why does anybody simp for any of these fucking empty egg cartons? It makes no sense whatsoever. But anyways, I digress. Well, the Nintendo Switch 2 delayed pre-orders, pre-order window rather, may come as a surprise to some. The move is a strategic pause rather than a production issue. Yes, exactly. Nintendo is evaluating potential supply chain and pricing implications before opening its next-gen console for a reservation, which, yeah, sure, that's why they're doing it, right? At present, the Switch 2 is priced at $449 and $499 for a Mario Kart World bundle. Standalone games will retail at $80, yes, marking the premium price point compared to the previous Mario Kart entries, whereas you have Donkey Kong Bananza coming in at $70, which is interesting. And yeah, when asked about this, when pressed about the game pricing itself, Nintendo of America president addresses Nintendo Switch 2 game prices. What you see right there is variable pricing. Oh great, this is people's fears confirmed. They're going to be trying to force a change in the industry by leveraging a zombified franchise's fan base. Let's keep it a buck. There are Nintendo bots out there in droves, and they're going to end up setting a bad precedent for the rest of the industry. It's kind of like why I like to go so hard on other bad media, because all of these companies end up learning the wrong lessons from it, and this is exactly what's going to happen if Nintendo is successful with its pricing structure on the Switch. I don't want it, you don't want it, but hey, Nintendo fans want the new Nintendo thing, even though Mario Kart World looks exactly like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is hilarious, right? Because Mario Kart 8 released on the Wii U, and instead of doing something new for the Switch, they just put a different coat of paint on 8, call it Deluxe, monetize the hell out of it, and then do Mario Kart World, which just ends up iterating a little bit more on that dilapidated skeleton. Holy shit, man. Nintendo of America president Doug Bowser recently addressed the varying prices for a number of Nintendo Switch 2 games it announced earlier this month. In an interview with the Washington Post, of course, oh my god, probably with that insufferable dingus Gene Park, Bowser discussed the differences in prices between Mario Kart World, which priced at $80, and Bananza at $70. Bowser observed, what you see right there is variable pricing. We'll look at each game, really look at the development that's gone into the game, the breadth and the depth of the gameplay, if you will, and durability over time, and the repeatability of other gameplay experiences. Those are all factors, and there's many more that'll go into consideration of what is the right price point for the game. So I think I can anticipate that there will be variable pricing, and we haven't set a benchmark. Now, Nintendo has kind of done this in the past. Like, I can remember, what was it? The Captain Toad Adventures game that came out at $40, but I legitimately can't point to another Nintendo game that came out at that variable price point. This right here is just an example of, oh yeah, we're just going to do that for Mario Kart World. Okay, it's going to have a bunch of characters, it's going to have a bunch of tracks and all of that stuff. And yeah, it's going to have a vast amount of replayability, but then it's also going to have character packs that you can buy. It's also going to have additional islands that you can buy. It's going to have other features that you bet your ass you can buy as well. But there's a lot of replayability on the base game that is eventually going to get outstripped by the amount of content that you're going to force people to come in and buy over the top of. And this right here coming in at $80. Oh yeah. Well, we'll show you, right? Because a Donkey Kong Bananza is only going to be $70. But they're just doing that right now so that they can show you, oh yeah, we're doing variable pricing. So invariably, in a couple of years' time, when everything's costing $80, $90, $100 after GTA 6, after the next Super Smash Brothers gets announced, everybody will be looking around going, what happened? Why are games costing so much and we're getting so little in return? It's because you motherfuckers couldn't exercise any type of self-restraint. You bought into all of the hype, and now we're all going to have to suffer because of it. Makes me sick to my fucking stomach. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.